You explain the difference, as I said earlier, with all the misinformation that comes out and people who don't really have the authority to speak on Jeet Kune Do seem to have a lot to say about Jeet Kune Do. Could you explain for the audience the difference between Jeet Kune Do concepts and the original JKD and how the concept's name came about?
Well, to be really honest with you, there isn't any difference between Jeet Kune Do, original Jeet Kune Do, and Jeet Kune Do concepts, or Jeet Kune Do concept, whatever you want to call it, it's the same. To understand the Jeet Kune Do concept, you have to be trained in the original JKD or Jeet Kune Do that Bruce Lee trained. As he says, JKD is a path to personal enlightenment. We referred to it at that time as the Jun Fan method of Kung Fu. That is original JKD. That's the roots. And from there, we were supposed to find our own personal path to what we call personal enlightenment. But there really isn't a difference. A lot of publications, sometimes they like to have a controversy, so they say there's the original Jeet Kune Do group and then there's a JKD concept group, but actually it's one. To fully understand the concept, you have to have the original, or as we call it, Jun Fan method of Kung Fu, or Jun Fan Kung Fu.
Okay, so the people out there now claiming to teach like original JKD, do they know, they don't really know the original training methods or curriculum?
They don't know the curriculum. It's funny, the people that sometimes are proponents of that particular view of original JKD usually don't know the original. And then they don't realize that the original Jeet Kune Do was different in the late parts of 1966, and it was different in 1967, 68, 69, because it was in constant flow. And then he says, okay, this is Jun Fan Kung Fu. But sometimes we refer to as Jun Fan Kung Fu as the material that preceded 1967. Some people view it as that, but actually it's one, because the roots flows from there.
Okay. I understand that he kept meticulous records on the people that he taught privately. You know, when he taught that person, how long he taught that person. Is that true?
Yes, he did.
So if he taught someone like, let's just pick a name, Steve McQueen, he would have a record that he taught.
He'd have a record. He'd say 1 p.m. train Steve McQueen or something like that. Very meticulous at that time period.
So if anyone is basically claiming they trained privately under him, this could easily be disproven if this information comes out to the public.
All you have to do is just get the log book or his agenda book, and you could see who trained so many hours.
And how many hours they put in and that type of thing.
There is a difference, though, if I can interject this. There's a difference between being a Jeet Kune Do student and a Jeet Kune Do instructor. There is definitely a difference. You know, you can attend University of California. That doesn't mean you're a graduate at University of California. And a lot of people say, well, I'm a Jeet Kune Do student, but they really, they can be in heart, I believe, but they're really not, they don't really have what I call a full understanding of what the term means, and they use it because it's a very popular art, and he was a very popular man at a certain time period. So I think that's what has happened. Yeah.
That's for sure. From what I understand, you're the only person to ever receive third level, which is the instructor level, personally by Bruce Lee in Jeet Kune Do. Is that correct?
Yes.
So no one else has received that rank from Bruce Lee. I mean, I know Sibak Taki
my senior,
and Sibak James Lee, of course, were your seniors, but even they didn't receive that particular rank of third level in Jeet Kune Do.
I believe James Lee received 3.
He did receive a 3
right.
in Jeet Kune Do.
And Taki Kimura is graded in Jun Fan Kung Fu.
In Jun Fan Kung Fu.
Right.
Okay. Just so we can clarify those things. Okay. And have they made any instructors in Jeet Kune Do?
According to the 2 most senior students of James Lee, that's Alan Joe and George Lee, who are probably age 70 now. They're probably the most senior, and they told me that he did not make any instructors in the Oakland area. That's James Lee, who is my senior. Taki Kimura has made instructors for his own personal school in Seattle, which is underneath his grocery store, but he has not made any instructors.
Okay, so there's nobody out there publicly under them right now.
No.
As far as, okay. Another kind of level here is Bruce Lee, when he was teaching, was he a patient kind of teacher, or what type of?
It would depend on the day.
Okay.
And for the most part, he was very patient with me. And then some days he would be impatient for me to learn very quickly. So it appears sometimes that he was impatient.
What was it like to spar with Bruce Lee?
Well, he's way out of my class, as I early found out within the first 2 years, and then later on he just sort of light tapped me in the face and things of that nature. The first part of the years he really kind of banged me up a little bit, you know.
As far
Very
as-
challenging. He's way out of my, I would say, my class. But
Well, I mean, was as far as like his people know him obviously from the movies mainly.
Right.
Was his speed and power really
His,
like when you stood in front of him to really?
his speed is it's awesome. His power is very awesome. Pound for pound, I think he's probably one of the strongest punchers I've seen.
Wow.
And that includes probably boxers. But definitely fast, definitely powerful when he punched.
When you worked in the movie Game of Death, did you, besides Game of Death, have you worked in other films or movies with Bruce Lee?
The Green Hornet series is the only other one.
In the Green Hornet series?
Right.
You did what
A
part
little
was
small.
that?
I doubled for a man named Mako, and the series called something about the praying mantis, the night of the praying mantis, or something to that effect. And I doubled for Mako.
Okay. Did you enjoy like working on Game of Death with him? Was it fun? Or?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I had a chance to. I went back to Hong Kong really not to do the picture, but to sort of catch up and be upgraded in the material that he thought was important for Jeet Kune Do and Jantan Kung Fu.
Was he changing even further than
Yeah,
when
he was
in-
always constantly researching and constantly changing his curriculum to, I think, really to suit him and then maybe to suit somebody close to him.